everybody, and welcome to the official after show for The Strain here on the theStream.tv fan show network. My name is Sinead DeFries, and I'm joined by some pretty awesome ladies. We're ready to talk about The Strain episode 2. On my left...
Hey guys, I'm Stephanie Gray, and I liked this episode. I'll tell you the positives very shortly, but I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, it was definitely a really good episode. Over here on my right...
Hi everybody, I'm Annie Graton. I was really into this episode. It started building a lot this week, coming off from the pilot, so ready to talk about it.
Yay. Heck yeah. And last but certainly not least...
Hey guys, I'm Kaori Takei. I am so excited to be here and talk about The Strain. Good episode, positives coming your way soon.
Love that your hair matches the poster in the background.
Oh, it's got to.
Love the hair in general.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that does work.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
I love this after show because I feel like it's a little edgy, you know? So when we're all watching it, we get super intense in what's going on, and then people start dying and sucking each other's blood. So it's just, it brings out my inner edge, and I'm all about that life. So that's cool. But anyways, this episode was so good. I was a little bit nervous coming off of the pilot, how they were going to start kind of putting this story together. They introduced us to so many characters last week, but I think they did it pretty great, actually. I was very impressed, especially towards the end, and that's something that I loved about it was just the fact that we saw a lot of story development. So we're gonna talk about some of the other things that we loved. Steph, you wanna start us off?
Yeah, okay, so there were a lot, I thought, of unsolved mysteries. We were talking about this all while we were watching the show. Last episode.
Definitely.
And there were when I say a few of them solved, I really am thinking of just one, and I'm thinking of how they solved the mystery of why those survivors survived.
Yeah.
And this is my positive.
Yeah.
I loved the transitions, and I know you guys probably have positives that are all these transitions, so I'm just gonna call out one. The tranny guy who was sucking the blood of the girl that he was making
that
out
was
with,
crazy.
licking it off the floor.
That was one seriously messed up sex scene. Let me tell you, but don't you love, like, we kind of all saw that coming, right?
I mean, yeah.
And I like that the girl who he like bit thought that he was trying to be kinky or something. And she's like, you bit me, you're crazy. I'm like, honey, that's not it. He wants to drink your blood. Don't you get it?
I think we all saw something coming, especially when you saw him in the bathroom and it was like erectile dysfunction.
Right?
Medication.
You should explain that.
He was like crushing it up and then sniffing a little.
Honestly,
like,
what did I say, you guys?
here?
I really thought that his thing was gonna fall off.
Right.
I don't know how they would show that though.
I was like, something's gonna happen. He's taking erectile dysfunction medicine in the bathroom, so either he's gonna kill her or his dick's gonna fall off. Like literally.
Because Annie said that the symptoms of turning into a vampire are. You should tell him because
I read up a little online. I mean, a little.
I did that too.
I know. I was gonna say,
Nerd alert, guys.
Nerd alert also over here. I saw that your hair falls out. Your hair does fall out.
Yeah, we saw that.
So that's cute. Also that your genitals fall off.
Right, and as soon as you said that, I was like, oh my gosh.
We're like, we'll connect the dots. So I don't know, pretty soon here, who knows what's gonna happen with it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Interesting.
Awesome, what else did you like about the episode?
All right, second positive was like in the very beginning, I really liked the scene between Abraham, you know, the old guy, we call him Grandpa. I don't know how we started.
Grandpa.
Grandpa.
I think I might have started that, I'm sorry.
I think Sinead did start that.
Sorry, you guys.
It's okay,
Between
it's cute.
Abraham and then Icor, you know, with the Icorst, thank you, with the
You're welcome.
blinky
hard.
eyes.
Blinky eyes.
And I thought that Abraham is so good at looking like sweet and like his eyes got all sad and he seems so upset. And I'm used to seeing him in Harry Potter as like the evil Finch or whatever.
Filch.
Yeah, and he's like all
cat.
evil. And now I'm like, you are so sweet when you're acting like you are because that's your job, to act.
No,
You're
absolutely.
a good actor.
No, I agree with that 100%. I feel like his character he's probably my favorite character on the show right now.
Yeah, same.
And I feel like maybe a lot of people are kind of feeling that way, aside from him he's got the most story, you know, the whole story behind him. But I mean, he's a great actor. We all know that already.
Yes.
But I mean, just the character is like, from the very beginning, the pilot, we saw this old man working in a pawn shop who turns badass when somebody tries to steal from him. Right? Yeah. And then he's got that crazy side of him, but then he also has this more emotional side when we're touching into what possibly happened with the owner of the Wormy Heart.
Wormy Heart.
Oh yeah, you're right. And also I think it's good that, like, unlike anyone else, we don't really see into their backstory and their history.
Yeah.
And with Grandpa, or Abraham, we know that he was, like, we're guessing that he was in a concentration camp.
Absolutely, he was.
The numbers and that intense conversation with him and
Icorst.
Icorst
also said, "I gave you in the jail."
Yeah.
But that was my
feel
positive.
for him.
I know, it was sad.
You're rooting for him.
But I just remember, didn't Icorst say, "I gave you that number"? So
Yes,
then
he
we
did.
were all thinking to ourselves, I wonder if Icorst is actually Hitler in like a new body.
Ooh.
Right.
Because vampires need a host.
Well, yeah, there's a
host.
definite connection between Nazism and concentration camps, and he called him Jew. You know, like there's obviously a very strong connection between
And
the
vampirism.
Holocaust and what's going on now. And it's we know that this happened before, so maybe that's what that story was. You know.
Right.
But before we get further into what we loved about the show, we have a couple more things to talk about. We just want to remind all of you guys to tweet in using the hashtag #TheStrainAS for the Strain After Show. Towards the end of the show, we're going to get to your questions and comments. I was seeing a lot of good stuff online already.
Yeah. By the way, we're tweeting. I just want to totally cut you off right now.
Go ahead.
We're tweeting during the show, you guys. We practically tweet through the entire episode. So if you guys go to our hashtag, #TheStrainAS, you'll see all of us being like, "What the heck?"
No, totally. And you can kind of see where all of our minds are at, and like we can all collaborate and break down this show together, because that's the exciting thing, because it's a brand new show. So that's really awesome. All right.
So excited.
She's like, "Go and do it together."
I love doing the brand new show thing.
I know, it's fun because we're all in it, like, you know, we're all really discovering all
together.
this. Totally. So for me, definitely I loved that scene at the jail. Definitely loved that. Like I said, he's my favorite character. So that's a huge positive for me, was that we got to see a lot of that happening with him. I just like his story. I think it's so intriguing. I want to know what the hell Grandpa has to hide.
Well, that's the thing about him. What's so great about him, he's actually the only character that you really want to know so much about.
I'm really hoping to get one of those episodes where they like go back in time.
They are, because I already saw.
you sure?
Yes, because I saw in the cast, there's like young.
Young Abraham.
Yes. Nice.
Yeah, there's
Good. Okay, good.
apparently,
I love that.
There's like
I love that.
flashbacks. There's flashbacks of him being taken to a concentration camp.
Love that.
So that gets me super stoked, because like I said, I love him. I love that.
You love getting insight.
And for me, I'm all about that. You know, I like when you can tell that the writers are on our side, I guess, if you will. They know what we're thinking, so they give us, without giving away too much, they give a little bit, you know, so we know. And then another huge positive for me was just towards the end. I'm going to tell you right now, it drove me absolutely freaking insane that nobody asked about the morgue.
Right.
So when he was like, "Let's go to the morgue," I was like, "It's about damn time." Because they're trying to figure out an epidemic. Don't you think that they would want to go to the frickin' morgue and talk to the guy who was working on the body?
Especially because the last episode, he was like, "Okay, I'm going to give you 48 hours, like get this together." And then they're like, "Okay, I'm gonna go here.
I'm gonna go to an AA meeting meanwhile, and maybe I'll have a talk with my son and the stepdad.
What were you gonna say, Corey?
I was just gonna say there's all these dead bodies, but there's only one guy working on it.
Exactly. And you know, that was so annoying. I mean, we must have said that a couple times tonight. I saw a couple tweets for that. So just even when they finally went to the morgue, that was still a positive for me, even though it took them way too long. But when they finally went to the morgue, and when that little creepy girl in the bathtub, like all of that stuff, I mean, that was a huge scene. Obviously, that's how we ended. The sex scene that ended up with the death. All of that stuff was very, very positive for me, because like you said, there was a lot of empty holes, and it was kind of like huge scene after huge scene after huge scene, which is exciting. I mean, I feel like some people are usually scared to do that, you know, to give you too much at one time.
Too soon,
But I liked it. It really set the premise for what's to come, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, on to you.
Yeah, well, my positives are a little interesting, because I liked the gory. I like the gory this week.
How do you like those posters back there?
Yeah, I know. It's funny because I've been staring behind you to your couch. That you have a nice worm like right behind you.
A nice worm.
And that was
you got a worm behind you too, girl.
Oh, do I really?
Yeah.
How does it look?
Does the worm like bring out my eyes?
Does it look good on my ears?
That's hilarious.
But when they were looking, you know, when they were in the lab and they were looking at that, you know, F and Nora.
Yeah.
When they were looking at that one worm and they put the the dollop of blood right there, and the worm just like snaps out.
That
one
was cool.
shot. To me, it was gorgeous.
Yeah, no, it was.
I know it's blood, but I loved that shot right there. It's probably like Guillermo del Toro, like a signature right there. But also, it's also like a connection of, you know, vampire. Like I think maybe in the back of their head, they're like, okay, like something back there is twisting and turning. Like maybe we are dealing with something like supernatural. Maybe this is vampires.
I love how
I feel like no one's said the word vampire.
Or honestly, if I were in this show and I was literally analyzing everything, my first thought would be aliens. Maybe I'm like overly obsessed with aliens, but that's what I would be
aliens
thinking.
are relevant to what's happening in our world.
Okay.
And in this show, I mean, let's be real, you guys. And we're all gonna think of it as being an epidemic before we're like, dude, it's vampires and zombies, duh. You know, like none of our minds work that way because the only time we ever hear about vampires and zombies are on
Fictional.
TV shows.
Yeah.
So for them to not automatically assume that, I think is, I think that that's understandable. But at this point, they have to know that it's more than just an epidemic.
Exactly, and the fact that F or Nora hasn't said that yet, I'm just like, come on, get there.
Yeah.
But you know, that was a really cool little shot for me. I'm like, I want to just freeze frame that and take a picture.
Like
for
the
some
details. It's really
the
awesome.
details. And another positive for me was the ending. Creepy ending, but that little girl, when they brought back that little girl, I'm like, I know she's gonna kill her dad.
Yeah.
I know she's gonna kill her dad. And they lingered after she, you know, sucked the blood out of her papa.
She was saying, you guys, Annie was like saying that after that. She's like, and they're lingering. Look at them.
Yeah.
They're lingering. I loved it though. They're like, okay, we're gonna give you that shot and we're gonna stay there.
Yeah.
We're confident in that shot. I loved it.
It'll be interesting to see what happens to that little girl now, you know?
Right?
She's just gonna stay in that bathtub and
hang out with her dad
in the bloody water.
The milk water, whatever.
Water.
Yeah. Why is it that in horror movies no one ever takes a clear bath? I mean, like, aside from the fact that you can't like look at naked bodies, like I get that. But literally, the water always looks like they used, like, she just, like, poured conditioner in there, right?
Poured conditioner.
It's always, like, really murky water.
It's true.
Anyways, random,
Totally true.
unrelated thought.
It was good.
Corey, what were your positives for the episode?
You guys stole a lot of my positives, which is, it's all good.
I know,
but
that sucks. That sucks about going all the way around.
It's okay.
I feel bad.
You
I
guys
totally
said it,
sympathize.
and you know, I'm just gonna emphasize Abraham and his conversation was awesome because he did not fear anything that this guy had. Just went through one ear and out the other. Just love that conversation. And then I'm gonna clunk up my second positive to the fact that the last 15 minutes of this episode really saved this episode.
Yeah.
You know, all the gore, the sex was awesome, him licking the blood. I know it's a little cheesy, but I enjoyed watching the master reveal and his like,
Oh, I forgot
you
about
know,
Aren't you gonna watch? Like, aren't you gonna look at
I'm
me?
like, hey, he's taking off his hood. Oh crap, he's
Yeah.
gonna get sick.
Right.
And then the little girl being all nasty and stuff.
Yeah.
Loved it.
No, absolutely. And another thing about that whole master reveal, like, I didn't think that they were going to make him appear as a person just yet.
Yeah.
Because he's always kind of been like this
right.
Voldemort like type.
You're right.
Yeah,
It's just like
that's
a
what I
shadow
think,
You know,
creature
the
from the
shadow.
Using
that
Harry
comes
Potter
up.
things because of I think
Yeah,
Filch, and I always want to call Abraham Albus Dumbledore.
That's hysterical.
Albus.
What are the
Okay,
things
Harry
that fly
Potter.
over in Harry Potter? The
Dementors.
Dementors. That's what
Dementors.
honestly. That's what that made me think of last
too.
week when it swooped in and
You're
killed
totally
the
right.
guy.
Right.
You're
So
totally
And then
I
when
was
it backed up.
exactly, and I was
Totally right.
very surprised and impressed that he took his hood off and you're looking at. I mean, it's obviously not a person; it's a freaking monster. But I mean, it's like it's a being.
Oh,
you know.
creepy.
Yeah.
Something.
You saw his
and that's-
hands.
Tell us what you said earlier about the how, because it's a real actor who's playing this. It's not like a computer
Yeah,
I
thing.
read the guy is, I think he's 7 feet tall.
He's a
in
wrestler.
Real, yeah.
He's a wrestler.
7 feet tall in real life, I
Yeah.
think. They
Which
said.
wrestler
and we're
is he?
gonna eventually see his face.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I
and I
think he's
think
like
they
an
said
actual
slowly they
wrestler.
want to introduce him
Yeah.
in
Isn't
real.
he kind of cute? I want to say I looked at his IMDb.
No, I don't think he's cute.
Never
I'll
mind,
have to look it
scratch that.
I wouldn't
Not
go that
cute.
far just yet to make
And
an
he's
assessment.
definitely
remember.
not going to be cute on this show.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
Maybe some people like it.
Yeah, no.
Guys, that's totally my type.
No.
I love people in
Stephanie's
capes.
type.
Gets me every time.
Yeah,
The
it's
cape
really,
thing.
it's
The cape.
yeah. No, I'm really excited to see what's coming with him. There's a whole freaking storyline over there between the master and those two.
I really liked seeing that he actually talked because I when I just saw like the thing coming out last episode and he crushed the guy and stuff, I was like, I don't know if that guy even wants to talk at all.
Yeah.
And then this episode he had
Yeah.
a whole sentence.
Everyone wants to talk. Everyone has a soft side. They just want to talk a little, explain things, why they're killing people.
And you know what? That's literally gonna be the perfect segue into my negative. But before we get to the negatives, just another reminder to keep tweeting us using the hashtag #TheStrainAS. You guys can tweet us individually as well. You guys quickly just want to go around and say our Twitter names, since I don't think we did that last week. And you guys are joining us for the first time.
Hello.
Oh yeah, maybe yeah.
Yeah, so we're all on Twitter. You guys can get on there, hashtag #TheStrainAS. Mine is my first and last name, @Sinead DeFries.
And mine is Stephanie, as in my first name, L, as in Lauren, Gray. Stephanie L. Gray.
Cool.
And mine is Annie_Graton.
And mine is Kaorious, Kaorious.
Perfect.
Nice.
Yeah, we're going to be on Twitter as soon as we wrap up here, answering your questions, answering more of your questions. We're kind of addicted to our phones. Like, let's be real.
Yes.
When it comes to the after shows, we're all addicted to our phones.
They try to take pictures of us, and all of us are just like,
No. It's terrible. Okay, so what you were going to say, this is my perfect, I'm going to start negatives really quick. But for me, a huge negative was, there's like, okay, I have to be careful how I say this, because I feel like with these shows like Breaking Bad, Walking Dead, it's based on a lot of serious content, you know? Which for me is why I could never continue with those shows. I know that's a bold statement, but for me, it's like I need to see a level of real life interactions,
I know what you're gonna say.
things that happen in everyday life as well, even though we're dealing with a supernatural, never gonna happen in a million years, hopefully, situation. There needs to be interactions between these characters that I can be like, okay, that's relatable.
Okay.
Every single thing that happened in this episode was so dark and so dramatic. It's almost, for me, just in my opinion, a bit overwhelming.
okay.
Yeah, no, I agree. That I could swing off that negative a little bit. As in, I like to, even in like dark, scary things, I kind of want a little bit of comedy, just to like smooth it out a little bit.
I don't, and it doesn't even need to be like a huge comedic relief, but like, for example, like when he went to go see his son, even that had to be like him and the boyfriend. Like there's, you know what I'm saying? It
Still
was
negative.
never,
I know what you're
still
saying.
negative.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
just
yeah,
an
yeah.
underlying level of tense, weird, you know what I'm saying?
Right, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
The family drama is all bad family drama.
Yes.
Yeah, can
and
we get
divorce,
something?
and it's still heavy.
Yeah.
Even
So it
when
would
he
be
kissed
nice.
the
Lighten it up
girl,
a
even
bit.
when he kissed the girl, right?
Can we talk about that?
Yeah.
Was that are we supposed to assume that they are currently having the affair, or
They
that that's in the
haven't-
past and that was a rekindling?
They had some kind of thing last episode that made you question
like,
it. But that,
Yeah.
I'm still very confused.
Right,
They have
so
not
am I. Right.
explained a
Okay.
thing, and they
Yeah.
haven't said anything to each other. Every time they kiss, it's just like a kiss and walk away.
and
Have
she
you noticed
doesn't,
that?
it doesn't
Yeah.
even faze her. She's like, okay, whatever,
Right?
so later. Next time we kiss, peace out.
Right. And they didn't kiss last week, did they? No.
No, he just like
No.
kissed
There's
on
like
the
a-
forehead.
Yeah,
They
kiss
were
on the
looking
forehead.
deeply into each other's eyes.
Caress.
They were just like,
Yeah.
Yes.
you know, but I understand it. Like, I get it, but
And then
that's
meanwhile,
just-
he goes to his wife and he's like, knock, knock, I'm trying to work things out,
Right.
going to
Yes.
AA. And I'm
Yeah.
like, wait.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that at
Whose
this
side do
point
you
we
want?
can assume that the reason that he even said like AA, he's there for his son. Like, F does not give an F about his wife. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, I think like we were supposed to kind of think that last week, but
Right. And now we're
no.
over it.
So a lot of confusion. Stephanie, what about you?
Negative. Okay. I realized that they did brush over this because eventually F was like, you need to go in to see my doctor person and we need to check you out, and that's when we saw the little wormy on the cheek. So
Yeah.
I get that they did discuss how everyone looked pale and bad, but those patients or whatever survivors, I feel like needed to be a little bit more concerned with their own well-being, and the fact that they looked like the color of a piece of paper.
Yeah.
And no
Yeah,
one,
even
I felt
worse.
like it was brushed over in the beginning. No one
Yeah.
really talked about it until like a long time after, and they were like, you look a little pale, you know?
Yeah. How
The
do they
whole
not
time,
care?
yeah.
Like, how do they not
Even the
care?
people, yeah, like even when they're at dinner, they're just, you know what I
I
mean?
know.
And
And
they're
she's like,
bleeding.
blood coming out of, I gotta go see my son. I've gotta go
Yeah.
see my son. And I'm
That-
like, you gotta go to the hospital, girlfriend. Like,
Yeah,
Right.
when they were leaving, they all looked, you know, already dead as a doornail.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
When they were
Goners.
walking.
I know.
Especially the pilot, you guys.
was
The pilot looked
done,
like
though.
he
Yeah.
was like completely dead the whole time.
Yes.
But no, I agree with that.
Yeah, I thought that was weird.
That's not
And my other one was the morgue. It was the same one that you said.
morgue, yeah.
That they like forgot about that.
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, I
what were you gonna say? You were just gonna say something.
Oh. I
Don't not mean to put you on the spot. Say something now.
I think it was
Stephanie's like,
probably
I'm done
just
talking.
piggyback.
I have nothing left to say.
Oh,
That's
well,
hilarious.
One of my negatives, it's kind of a small one, but it just kind of, I noticed this episode that Nora, right? Nora, that's
yeah.
partner in crime or lover. Or
Yeah.
we don't
Right.
really know yet.
PIC and lover.
I noticed this episode, I feel like she had a lot of just like one-liners. Like when they were in the van, she's like, oh yeah, if the daughter was dead, shouldn't she be in the morgue?
Thank you, Nora.
Thank you,
Tying
Nora.
the whole show
Yeah.
together.
Yeah,
And you know what? Going along with that, I was really excited. I thought she was going to kind of be like this badass
Nora.
chick.
Yeah.
I want to like root
get-
for Nora, and right now I want,
I know.
Yeah.
She'll get
For her.
she'll get bigger though. I think she's so pretty, and I feel like she's a good actress.
She's
I feel like
gorgeous.
they've got
Yes.
it. They'll want her more incorporated
They
into
will.
the story, right?
Yeah, definitely. All right, Corey.
All right, so my negative is I'm all about the gore and all about the cheese ball, like blood and stuff. Did not get enough of that. I started watching the show because I want to see more blood, more sex, more nastiness going on, and that there was not enough of that until the last 15 minutes
Yeah,
of this.
yeah.
And that was a disappointment. And kind of hopping off what you were saying, but kind of not. I'm not really into the secondary storylines. Granted, I haven't watched. I mean, I haven't read the books or the comic books, but I don't dig the whole divorce situation.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
care for
Personal
the
side story.
You know, yeah, the
yeah.
AA
You
meetings.
just want to get to
I don't
get
even,
to the fun
Yeah.
stuff.
Exactly. I just
Right.
want to see like what's gonna happen with this master and then
Yeah.
Abraham. So I want to see more of that. And I know it's just developing. It's already just
Yeah.
in its second episode, but
Yeah.
But no,
Get
I agree
going.
100%. Like, if there's such a huge storyline going on with the actual plot of the show, that other stuff just seems just, like I said, it's just dramatic. It's just like, ugh. Because we're all so focused. They're throwing so much at us
Yeah.
with the actual storyline.
Right.
So then when they start doing that AA meeting stuff, I'm just like, are you guys serious? Like,
Yeah, you kind of for a second you're just like
you lose it.
I know, you lose it.
You lose
Especially
interest.
momentum.
We were
Yeah,
all
I
saying
agree.
too. I think it was maybe a negative for all of us. The camera.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes we want the camera to just stick.
Yes,
You know, like right
yeah.
there.
Yeah,
like
because
stick on. You know.
He was
stick
good.
on.
That
F.
was a good scene. Like he
It
did a
was-
really good job of acting, I thought, in that AA
It was
scene.
distracting.
And it was. They were talking about that. It was totally distracting.
was.
You're
Yeah.
totally
I remember
right.
Corey was
I
like,
agree.
why are they going angle to angle to angle to angle?
I know.
Yeah, we're like.
Yeah,
I
and we were like, if they would have just stayed dead set on his face with him getting emotional at that AA meeting, I
was good as
probably would
is.
have been super invested.
Yeah.
But I was just like, oh, where'd you go? Where'd you go? Where'd you go? But yeah, they do that a lot throughout the show.
There's
right?
also
I know.
yes.
There's also another thing, because you know how we're talking about how there's two separate storylines. There's the personal, and then there's like the vampire stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like there's two storylines within the vampire stuff. There's the master vampire who wants to like spread vampirism to all the countries,
Yeah.
and then there's the older Mr. Palmer, Dr. Palmer man, and he is dying and wants like
Yeah.
to live forever. So I don't quite see the cooperation yet between
No, I
him
agree.
and the vampires.
Yeah.
Throw
And
that out to
he
sea.
got like really emotional almost. I don't know what that was, but like when he finally crouched down next to the coffin and the master appeared, he got like very like overwhelmed, which I actually kind of liked because in my head I was thinking maybe being in this thing's presence is like that dark, and it just kind of reminded me of something like really eerie and creepy. But like they're not really doing a good job of letting us know exactly
Right.
what
Where
is
everyone
going.
stands.
Yeah, it's a mystery that I'm sure they're gonna like clear up, but they.
But it's a
definitely-
mystery I like.
Yeah,
it's a mystery I like.
Yeah, and I also want to know. Yeah, obviously the master wants to spread
Yes.
vampirism. I think, but what is preventing him from just like killing the Palmer on the spot, like that other
know.
guy that he met
True.
in the pilot episode?
Right.
You know what I mean? That guy,
Yeah.
he was just ferocious. You know what I mean? Just
Yeah.
whoo, you know, done.
We should talk a little bit about, before we get to our questions, just about kind of where we think this is going to go now that we have these 4 survivors that are clearly now vampires, which we all decide that we love, that they revealed that. and versus these zombies? Like, do we literally have zombies and vampires, or
I don't
are
know,
they?
but I did read that. Yeah, no, go. What were you saying?
Oh, I was just gonna finish my thought really quick. Was
I'm
sorry.
just gonna actually finish what I was saying.
No. Only because I realized that it's a little confusing because she is technically a vampire.
Yes.
Yes. Right.
Yes.
The
Yes.
girl is technically a vampire
Yes.
because she killed the dad.
Yes.
Yes.
I don't know where zombies play into that. I'm not really sure.
I
if
think
they're the
they
same.
are. I don't know if they're technically a zombie. I think they are still vampires,
Yeah.
but just
Okay.
like the lower level of
Yeah.
vampires.
Because I know some vampires can think a lot. That's a thing that's
Yeah.
different about this show than
Right.
like the other Walking Dead shows and stuff
Well,
like
that's
that.
what I'm saying because when they woke up in the morgue, that's like zombie. You know.
Yeah, that was zombie.
Yeah, I think they are.
I know.
I don't know if. I think they might be the ones that when they were talking about love the last episode that they're just gonna go home to their loved ones and
Right, and kill them.
kill them.
Yeah, definitely.
Dead. Gone.
That's
All right,
it.
go ahead. What were you gonna say? I'm so sorry.
Oh my gosh, do I remember? I don't know if I remember now.
Sorry, I'm sorry,
Scratch it.
Kyle.
No,
I'm
don't
sorry.
worry. I scratch it. It
Yeah.
probably wasn't important.
I'm sorry, but
Don't
yeah, I
worry
don't
about
know. It's just weird to me because now I feel like we have two separate monsters.
I know.
I do think though that like some of the survivors, like the what's the rock star guy with the long black hair.
Yeah.
I forget his
Not
name,
sure-
but
yeah,
the
I
tranny,
got it.
like
The
tranny
sex
guy.
guy.
The sex guy. The sex guy.
Okay.
I do think that he might embrace it. I think that he might embrace being
Yeah.
a
Oh,
vampire.
yeah.
He was always
I
meant to be
think
right.
so. I mean, the way he was licking up that blood.
Yeah.
he
Right?
was
I
all
think he's
about
gonna
it.
live in it and he's gonna love it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that might be an interesting.
And is
Yeah.
that chick now a vampire too, the one he bit? Or does he
Oh my
have
gosh.
to suck it all up?
I don't think she is, but she should be. That's a good
Yeah.
point.
if,
Doesn't
if
that
the
usually
worms,
happen?
if the parasite
Yeah, but
vampire
then-
worms went in.
Yeah, and
then
that's
maybe.
like he doesn't have whatever that little girl in the bathtub had. You know, like she clearly has that worm inside of her
throat.
throat.
She had a narky
Or
worm,
it's a
too.
tapeworm or something.
Or maybe it
The
just
biggest
hasn't developed
tapeworm.
yet.
Right. So like there's
Oh,
different.
okay.
Like he
Yeah.
bit her to suck her blood.
Right.
That girl, like her intestines came out and killed her dad.
That was crazy.
So
I
that's
like
totally
tapeworm. It reminds me of a tapeworm. If I knew what a tapeworm
Ew.
looked like.
Yeah, no, okay. So that's cool though. I feel like this is a good episode. I know that it was kind of
Yeah.
off to a slow start, but I feel like we kind of got to where we needed
We
to
got
be.
one answer. We got why are the 4 survivors, why did they survive? And they survived to be vampires and possibly spread.
Yes.
I think
Or
they're gonna.
suck
They're gonna
blood.
spread.
Yeah, I think they're gonna spread, and I think they all are important people in society in some way. Like
Yeah.
the rock star,
That's
he
a good point.
affects a lot of people. You
Yep.
know what I mean? He's got a following.
Yeah.
The lawyer, she can do a lot.
Right. Yes.
I mean, and then there's the pilot. He can take people.
He can
Fly.
spread things to other countries
He
by
can
flying.
fly,
fly.
the knowledge,
Yeah.
the theory.
And then the fourth guy we don't know a lot yet, but
No,
maybe
he's just
probably
he's
nerd.
Yeah, he's
nerd
just a
alert. Nerd alert.
If the rock star's penis falls off, it might be a problem. So.
Dude,
Can that happen, please?
you guys, I really thought it was gonna happen. Like that is terrible, and I probably would have freaked out more if I was that girl. If I saw his penis fall off,
Can you
than
imagine?
when he bit me. Like I'd have been like, I gotta go.
Go ahead, take a bite.
No, but yeah, that was crazy. I gotta go.
I got
dude.
I'll stay. No,
Yeah. Anyway, so this is the point in the show where we're going to get to a couple questions, kind of see what's going on online, what you guys are thinking. Again, keep tweeting us even after we're done here with the hashtag #TheStrainAS. We're really going to get to some good stuff, I feel like, this season, and it's important for us to kind of see what you guys are thinking, because I know that as fans, we really amp each other up. A lot of people have been asking this question, and this comes from Antonio J31. Have any of you guys read the books or comics to the show? I'm just curious. So we know that this is based off of Guillermo del Toro's comic book series.
Right. I can answer this because I debated. I had never originally read the books, and as soon as I found out about this show, I was like, do I want to read the books? And I contemplated it because I'm looking for a new series to read anyway. And then I was like, but do I want to know what's coming up, or do I want to be surprised? So I have purposefully stayed away from the books.
Yeah.
But now that you asked that question, if you guys want me to read it, I mean,
Yeah, well,
I need a new
mean,
series anyway, but then I'll know what's happening.
yeah, you
So I
guys
don't
have to
know.
let us know though. Like, do they give away the? Do
Yeah, how
they give
similar is
away
it? Yeah.
the plot? Like, do we find out? Because I've read parts of like the descriptions of the characters based on the books, because I did that because I wanted to understand who we're dealing with.
Right.
But I don't want to know anything about the story.
Exactly. I don't want it, because it's one of those shows that you want to be like surprised.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
it's one of those ones, not like a romance or something that's not
Yeah.
gonna be like, ooh, spook you kind of thing. That's why it's fun. Like I haven't read any of them. I've heard about it.
Yeah.
But I don't think I want to read it. Maybe I'll read it after, as you know, it's kind of a learn more after the fact.
Like,
but
learn more after. Yeah, exactly.
learn more after.
Cool.
But yeah, I like learning.
What about you, Corey? Are you more of the I'll wait for the movie type of girl?
It depends on the book and the movie.
Yeah.
In this case, I actually didn't even know that it was a book/comic book until the first episode, and I'm gonna wait it out to see how this season fares. And if I like the season, I'm waiting ants in the pants for season 2. I'm probably gonna end up reading it.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that.
To be honest, I just piggybacking off of not reading the comics, I did read all the Twilight books in like 2 weeks over spring.
Me too. Guilty.
I read all the
No
Twilight
shame.
No shame
whatsoever.
I read all the Twilight books, and then I saw the movie, and I found myself being frustrated because I was like, God, there was this part in the book that they didn't do in the movie.
I did the same thing.
Yeah, so the entire time I was like critiquing the movie. So I might have. I don't want that to happen again with this show. So that's another thing.
Yeah. Very cool. All right. At Munoz. I'm assuming that there's like a hidden tilde there. And Adrian 280. Oh, that's one name. Okay, I apologize. At Munoz Adrian 280. There you go, dude.
There we go.
He's asking, does anyone care about the corner?
I do.
They don't.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about that earlier, but for real.
Obviously, no one cares that he's dead. Did they find him dead, or did they just find the
No, they
lights
found his
off?
glasses.
Yeah.
Mysterious.
Maybe he just ate him up.
So obviously nobody
Totally.
cares. Yeah, you're right. They found his glasses. They're like, we don't need to call the family.
The answer is no.
No.
Nobody cares. We care.
We care a lot. We were
care.
talking
We
about
care.
him a lot.
Yes, we care.
Because like, come on, F. Come on, Nora.
I
Like,
know. It's very, very sad. At Mullen L. Labe 480 asks, what makes this show any different than your typical virus movies and TV shows?
Okay, so from vampires and zombies, these ones can think, and I know that the ones on Walking Dead can't. So I like that. They can plot and scheme. They can go out after their loved ones because they have like brains.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. Oh, beauty, right? This is going to be really based because of Guillermo del Toro, based on beauty.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
colors.
Colors.
And if
Wave shot,
if he's asking like for viruses, like if I think of one of the movies I just watched recently, don't ask me why, my ex-boyfriend made me watch it with him, was Contagion.
Oh, I love that movie.
I heard it was good.
I loved it. Yeah. Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yeah, it's kind of got the same. It's got like this eerie, stagnant vibe throughout the movie. You know, like they totally take murky baths in that movie. Like that's the type of thing. You know, it's got this very stagnant thing, very stagnant vibe to it. So, what's different though, honestly, is this show gets me because of their attention to detail.
Yes.
Even though there are loopholes and information missing. I said this last week, I love all the detail.
Yes. Yeah, piggybacking off of that, like when F had the milk, do you remember that? Like the first 5 minutes when they were about to go onto the plane, and they handed him, I think it was Jim, right? Jim?
Jim. Jim.
Oh, here's your milk. Here's your milk. Don't forget your milk.
Yeah.
That detail is just amazing to me. That,
Why
like,
does
for
he
his
drink?
character.
Let's talk about that
He
detail.
loves like a
Why
little
does he
box.
drink boxed milk?
Right?
First
That detail. I love that. Everyone, go back to the first episode.
I know,
Go back to the
that's so
pilot.
random.
First 5 minutes, you'll see that they're all carrying around this box of milk to give F before he goes on the plane.
Yeah.
Character development. I like that. I totally agree with you.
So I think in that sense,
Yeah.
when it's about something like an epidemic or very science-y, it needs to have a lot of detail because we're talking about
break it up,
we're talking about parasites and germs and bacteria, and it's the CDC and the police. Like there's a lot of
Okay, so when I was researching, I have to stop starting everything with the fact that I'm researching and just act like I know it off the top of my head. But
yeah, I'll agree with that.
Moral of the story is I did read that they're trying to give a lot of detail with the biology and stuff like that because it's supposed to be as much of a about a CDC investigation as it is about the vampires. So it's supposed to be about having it be realistic and all that and the ins
I love
and outs.
that.
Yeah, so
I love that. Great research, girl.
Yeah.
Get that research.
Thanks, man.
Awesome. Okay, well, you guys keep tweeting us, #TheStrainAS. Like I said, we're all going to be online tonight answering more of your questions and theories. This is the best part of this whole thing for us is seeing what you guys think. So #TheStrainAS. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Strain After Show here on the TheStream.tv Fan Show Network. We'll be back on Sunday for episode 3. I'm really excited, you guys.
Yeah. Pumped.
You guys, should we have an ending? On Pretty Little Liars, we have an ending thing where we go,
Yeah, we're gonna have to think of something.
We'll think of one.
It needs to be like a.
Yeah, no, I can't do that, you guys. I don't want to have
Don't like
nightmares.
that.
We'll work on it, but I'm not about that.
I'll bring work back next week, okay?
Alrighty, guys, we'll see you next Sunday. Keep tweeting us and have a great night. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.